What do CEOs need to know about sales these days? A lot. Outdated sales strategies and tactics plague most companies today. Listen to what innovative CEOs and experts have to say about how to change all that with Sales Talk for CEOs. Welcome to Sales Talk for CEOs. Today, I have a topic that I know is on everyone's mind. It's something I've been deep diving into, and that is AI. So I know a lot of us are wondering, what to do, how to get started. Some of us have started and it hasn't been so great. Rewind the clock, come back. Just so many things to talk about with AI. But imagine if it was a little bit easier because you had a completely private place to put all of your company information so that you could work on internal works as well as things that you want to post externally and not be worried about whether that was getting out into the bigger world in any way. Perfectly controlled and safe for you to use, and it would help you actually create profit. Really important. Like, we're all trying to figure out, what do we do with AI? How do we make it work? How do we help our salespeople? How do we help our customers? How do we make it work for our company to help us scale and be profitable? And what if it could even advise you on not just the present, but the future and what you should be doing in the marketplace? Well, guess what? That exists today. And I have with me the founder of TetraNoodle. I love that name, TetraNoodle. Manuj, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So great to have you here. I just want to take a minute and tell us, what does TetraNoodle do today for their customers? And then, of course, we'll rewind and get your story.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, as you said, like what we do is we build private and personalized AI systems, which know exactly about your business, about what you do, what your goals are, what your aspirations are. And so that's a private AI surrounded with AI agents. So think of any typical company. There is an executive group and a bunch of teams and employees doing the work. Similarly, in the world of AI, there's going to be a digital brain, that is your private AI, which knows about your company, and then a whole bunch of AI agents which are supplementing or supporting your team in getting things done.
Yeah. So I think that this is really important because even just the other day, I was trying to decide for my company, my little company, but we have a lot of people using AI, and I'd say sort of haphazardly, honestly. But we're trying and we're learning. But I was thinking, well, gosh, should I pay for my team to be on ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or many others, right, that I'm not mentioning? Those are the most popular ones we hear. Where will be the best for us? Which one will do what we need the best? Where can we keep our information safe? So I know if I'm wondering that, everybody else is too. And so it's a really important topic. And you said something to me before we started recording, which blew me away. So you mentioned that the CEO of OpenAI is saying that by 2030, well, you repeat it. Tell me what.
So this is his quotation, but not just him. Many people are saying, including people like Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Google, Peter Diamandis, many people who know what they are talking about, much more knowledgeable than myself. That by 2030, a $1 billion company is going to be run by one employee, who is the CEO, or at best maybe a small team of 4 or 5 employees. And so think about that kind of scale of innovation that is going to happen in just next 5 years, right? A $1 billion company, you cannot imagine running that kind of company without at least maybe 1,000 or 2,000 employees, right? So if you can shrink it down to 5, that means a lot of the heavy lifting is actually going to be done by AI. Now, a lot of people may hear that and say, oh, that means AI is going to replace humans. But if you have curiosity, I can explain how that's going to unfold. But humans are not going to go out of the picture. So I just want to put that to rest. It just means that everybody everybody will have an opportunity to run a company of that size. That's what it means.
Yes, it's going to make a lot of opportunity for everyone. And I know there's people who are afraid, right? And people who are so excited and everybody in between. Let's get back to that. But let's take the journey of how you started this company. So I know it was 24 years ago, Manoj, but let's rewind the clock
Mhm.
and get back 24 years. What were you doing? And why did you start TetraNoodle? And what was, what were you selling then? What was the form of it? Because I'm sure it has, changed over all these years, but take us back and tell us the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah. So it was an accidental kind of thing into entrepreneurship. I wish I told you I had a grand plan or anything like that. But basically, what happened was I immigrated to Canada in 1998, and that was the dot com boom time. And I got a job. I was a software engineer, and technology was my profession, and so it was easy, transition. But then also the dot com bust happened during 2000, and so the ramp down was equally dramatic. Like I lost, like, I think 4 jobs in a couple of years. So I was trying to get a job and all of that, and I it was a tough market. So because of necessity, I said, okay, this whole uh, job security thing doesn't really exist anywhere. And um, so I started my company, started like talking to a few people who gave me some little bit of work, not enough for a full-time kind of a income, but it was something to get started with. So basically that's how it started. And it is still primarily a consulting company, where we understand clients requirements, and then we build custom solutions for them. So started helping startups who had some ideas. They wanted to build a product, they could not get it working. A couple of those startups are now public companies, so it was really amazing work that we did. Then we started getting larger clients, Fortune 500 like Microsoft, Pearson Education, IBM, T-Mobile, these kind of things. I got an experience on how you take an idea from the back of a paper napkin in a startup world, into the market, and then also how these large corporations, global corporations, they continue to grow year after year after year. So it was a very versatile experience, and that's how I started. And my AI journey actually started in 2005. If you want to dive into that, I can do that. But
Yeah,
you know
let's
that,
go there in just a second. So I'm curious, as with all founders, right? So you were kind of on your own. You're like, hey, this job market isn't stable. I'm just going to go out there and find my own work. Thank you very much. As my friends used to say to me, Alice, you can stimulate your own economy, right? So get
yeah,
out there and do it.
yeah.
So you found a few customers and started consulting, right? How did you find your first customers? Was it through your network? Were you out there cold calling? Because I'm assuming in the beginning it was just you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a little bit of both the network. I mean, I was a recent immigrant, so I didn't have like a lot of people who knew me, or even people who trusted me, because it takes time to establish that trust. So a little bit of network, a little bit of just sort of reaching out, cold calling, just looking at job boards and seeing, okay, what are these people doing. There were not a lot of jobs, but just people sharing ideas. Okay, I want to launch this company, I want to do this, or going to networking events. So I'm an introvert actually. It was really kind of a stretch for me to go to networking events. And as you know, when the economy is not doing good, the networking events are full of people trying to find
Yes.
work
Yes.
or sell. So it was like a lot, like I experienced, like, seems like everybody's selling here, like how do I break through. And so it was quite a learning curve to on the business side. On technical side, luckily I had good credentials and good experience, so I was able to stand apart from the competition. But yeah, initial customers were quite a challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so how long did it take till you grew big enough that you started thinking, okay, I'm going to need some help. I'm going to have to hire some other people. This is actually going to become a company, not just me out there consulting.
Yeah, it's well, it was a long journey. I will say. I think I hired my first employee maybe 10, 12 years down the road. Like, let me think, to 2015-ish, I think I will say. Yeah.
Yeah.
15 years,
Yeah.
15 years, yeah.
Yeah. So you were out there doing it on your own for a long time. So
Mhm.
interesting then. Let's bring us up to so you started building, you're finding more clients. Once you're into it, like 5 years, where are your clients coming from?
So again, it was mostly local network, word of mouth. By that time, I had built some successful products that were doing well in the market. So people were talking, "Hey, if you have an idea," because the thing is, like, a lot of people have ideas, but execution is what counts,
Yeah.
especially on the technical side. And even though our world is full of technology, just like in any other profession, only like 5% of the people can actually deliver, 95% talk.
Right.
So my reputation was kind of like the 5% who can get things done. And so it was mostly local network. And since I was just doing things on my own, I just said, okay, if I just get like this much work and income, I'm set. Like, I don't want to be overloaded or doing more than I can chew. In fact, like, you know, as, as coming from a technical background, I did not even have like a business mindset altogether. Like, I did not even know how big this could become. I was like, hey, I'm just an engineer. Like, I'll be lucky if I get like 3 4 clients. I'm happy with that. But yeah, I mean, after some time, it started becoming clear that okay, this can be like much much bigger.
Yeah. So even when you started getting to AI, you were still a solo, right? You were just out there going, okay, things are changing. I'm on the leading edge of this. I'm paying attention. I see that the AI is coming. Now, I know people think that AI just showed up during COVID, right? But we all know it's been around a really long time. So tell us a little bit like how, that kind of popped up for you and what you started doing to pivot, right? And how that helped you grow as well.
Yeah, so as I said, I got into AI around 2005. The first project we did, it got bought out by. It was a patented technology, got bought out by a unicorn billion-dollar company. And what happens is, like, when you are in something deep, I just enjoy technology. So I just like, it's like fun for me, hobby for me. You don't really know, what kind of impact it is creating, what kind of value you're creating. You're just having fun, right? So think of, like, let's say you are into repairing cars. Like, when I go and take my car to a repair shop, the guys are like, oh, this is like, carburetor is not working, like this oil, blah blah blah. All those technical details are like, just please fix the car, and that's it. uh, so when you are in AI, I was just creating these algorithms and all of these things. I was having fun. But then when I saw the impact on this project having on, like, we'll say, millions of students, and then I started building some products in healthcare, and I saw the impact it had on patients and all of that. So that's when I started learning. Okay, this AI thing is really really impactful, right? And then some things happen in my life, in my personal life, where I sort of found myself in a depressed state and whatnot. And then through series of events, I understood the psychology of the human mind and how it all works and how it all relates to AI. And I started building a kind of a understanding of this world around us is a two-way street between AI and human mind. So human mind, we take actions, we create data. That data is fed to these algorithms. The AI understands human behavior. It creates more data, and then sort of influences human behavior, actions, and all that. So it goes back and forth like that, right? So that
Yeah, I love that because I haven't heard anybody really talking about that yet because I talked to a lot of people about AI. But you know what it made me think of, Manoj? An infinity loop,
correct,
right?
exactly.
So it's not, you can't have one without the other anymore, right?
Yeah,
So humans can be augmented, right? With AI and used properly, it's going to be phenomenal. And the humans feed it, it feeds back, which allows the humans to feed it more and feed back. And it just keeps getting better and better. I just really love that.
correct, exactly. Now, so what was happening is, this was around 2018, and uh, it was quite complicated technology still, right? So even though I had like four patents by then, and I saw the like impact, one of my projects actually got mentioned by Obama
Wait,
and Bill
hold
Gates.
on, pause. You said you had 4 patents by then? I mean,
Yeah.
most of us have 0 patents, okay? So could we just stop for a moment and breathe that in? Congratulations, 4
Thank
patents.
you.
That's
Thank
pretty
you.
cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, four patents in AI. And so I was like, okay, it's all fun for me. But then one of the project got mentioned by Obama and Bill Gates. So I was like, wait a second, this is like really big stuff, right? And then I was still like, because think of AI as this massive technology that took a lot of investment and a lot of technical resources. Like I was actually working with PhDs, even though I have very basic education. Like actually, I was in charge of hiring PhDs and like training them and all of that. So then around 2018 or so, OpenAI started releasing some of their early
Yeah.
versions. And then that's when it sort of came together, because now I understood that okay, the barrier of entry in using AI is coming off now. So AI will be in the hands of the general public. Before that, realize this, as you said, like AI has been around since 1960s. The government and large corporations have been using it for decades. This is how Amazon became what it is today, AI, because they started using it even in year 2000. So um, now when I realize that okay, this thing is going to be in the hands of general public, that means it's going to be explosive growth in AI. And the other thing that happened was, again, in business there's always the business side and the personal side. So in 2018 my mom passed away. She was in India. And I I always thought, okay, I will have more time to visit and all of that, but it happened suddenly. So all of these things combined, I said, okay, now it is time to bet big on AI around 2018, and like try to build a global company, and have opportunity to travel to other countries, including my homeland, India. And so that's sort of how it all came together.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you started early for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say it's AI has been around since the 60s, right? And it's been being used. I mean, otherwise, I don't know how many of these big corporations and the government could have been processing all this data, right? I mean, maybe it's not wasn't in the form exactly, of course, that we have now, but still. So you were really on the forefront though of it starting to come to the general public. Now, you did mention that around 2015 you thought I need to hire some people and start building a little bit of a company, right? So I want you to tell us about that and bring us up through 2018 when you're like, okay, AI is here and like huge opportunity. Let's go. So take us from I'm a solopreneur out there doing some really great stuff and people love me and I've got 4 patents and I'm doing kind of pretty tricky things with AI that people aren't doing yet, but then all of a sudden bam. So take us from 215 forward.
Yeah.
2015.
So initial hires were like, some part-time people helping with admin work, because I was still kind of like, hands-on doing all the work myself. So I just needed to increase my capacity and get some sanity back. And then also, like, when people started approaching me for no more projects, I was like, okay, I don't even have enough time here in the
Right.
day. So how do I so I started like supplementing it with some technical resources as well. And obviously we there's a lot of hit and trial. You you have missed deadlines, quality issues, all of that, right? I'm just learning because when you hire your first employee, naively you think like they are exactly like me. They're gonna they're gonna produce exactly the same output that I.
Right. You and every other founder, Manoj, thinks that you're going to hire somebody and they're going to work as hard as you do.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to learn all of these things, and slowly it's the journey of entrepreneurship, especially when you start hiring people, I believe it becomes less of what as in terms of like your technical abilities or whatever expertise you bring to the table. it goes out of the window, and you become and you almost become like a expert in people. Like, I mean, that's basically it, right? You start to learn about yourself, you start to learn about other people, your employees, your contractors, your customers, and it's a never ending process. This is, if I could summarize entrepreneurship, it's just like understanding people, and that's it. And so that was a journey, like, as how to evaluate people. Even when I was building the team, you know when you interview people, they're like, oh, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, like, you know um,
They're good
then
at
you,
selling themselves in the
yeah,
interview, aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah. So you have to evaluate, you have to like ask the right questions, you have to also become a little bit thick skinned, be- from the customer's point of view, also from the employee's point of view, because as a human, you get attached to employees, and if they are not performing well, having these difficult conversations and all that, it's not that easy, for especially for an introvert. So I had to learn all of that. And yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you had to learn how
that's
to be a CEO. You knew how to be an engineer,
yeah.
right? But different skill sets. Some of them transfer for
Mhm,
sure,
mhm,
but definitely different skill sets. So
mhm,
that's hard work, and I think that is where, it's really tough for some people to move from that founder, I invented it, I know how to do this thing, to I can learn how to run a company and deal with all
mhm,
the people and the process and all
mhm.
of the other things that go along with it. So it sounds like you started to make that leap. And now, so tell us about like how big was your company and what were you doing in 2018 when you said, "Oh my gosh, huge opportunity here."
Yeah. So 2018, interestingly enough, I wanted to learn more and more and more. So rather than doing like technology, like taking on technology projects, I thought, okay, let's figure out a way that I can learn and I can still, grow a company and all of that. At that time, so I already spent a lot of time, like almost like 7-8 years in educational technology businesses for larger corporations. So I knew that world well, and online courses were coming up at that time. They were becoming popular. So I said, okay, let's start a division where I can uh, share my knowledge on these technical uh, platforms, or how to build technology, basically. Because I saw most people were talking about, okay, this is the tool you use, this is how you write a programming language, but nobody actually said how to aggregate all this and build actual products. So I wanted to bring that to the table, and started building courses. So that was sort of my first transition into this new version of the company. And I scaled it quite quickly, very very well. So around within a year or so, we published 75 courses and had about 200,000 students worldwide. And
Amazing. Pause. Amazing. Great.
yeah,
I mean, fabulous.
yeah,
Yeah, great job.
yeah. So that was like a crazy period, like handling so many different aspects, and sort of, quality control, all of that. But
Well,
then
that requires a team too, because production, like you're not a production expert, right? You got to understand video and audio and, editing and how do you publish it and what needs to go with it. It's a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I actually spent like 5-6 months just learning those things, like video, audio, like even like trying different microphones, lighting. I had no idea what I was doing. Even then, video editing, like, I learned a lot in that aspect. So once I got the hang of it, then yeah, then I started scaling it. But quality assurance fell on me, and that was like the breaking point. I could not handle that much. So I said, okay, I need to like think about like other scalable solutions. and
Mhm.
um, and I was like trying desperately, okay, who can help me like create quality content, um, and I was like, man, if only there was like a technology which I can just say, I want you to help me come up with this, and it does that. And then in the middle of 2020, I think, I was already working with OpenAI beta products, and it was like uh, writing some output earlier on in 2020. But there was a they released their API around, yeah, mid 2020, I think, from what I recall. And I was just talking to another entrepreneur. I was like, man, like, writing content is so difficult. Like, I share my ideas with somebody, and then they come back with something totally different, and I don't know how to express it in a way without criticizing them, and they get frustrated. And so how do I, like, what do you have a solution? Do you have like a great content writer I can work with? And he said, like, why don't you try look into OpenAI? Like, they release their API, um, you know that may help. So I said, okay, well, let me try that. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. And as I was going deeper into it, like, I was like, oh, okay, so it's not just my solving my problem, but it's like much deeper. So this is how it sort of evolved into AI.
So you were one of the first people that was in there trying to put your content into OpenAI and get something back. Like, here's what I want to say. Can you put this in a script format for me so that I can record it? And it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So now you've already got a lot of content out there. Now you're fixing the problem of, there's just not enough time. If I have to do all the QA and all the recording and all the editing and all the other stuff, you maybe had a few people helping you, obviously, but still it was too much. And so you hired a few people, you figured out how to use OpenAI, and it worked. So what happened next, and how did you get to where you are now, where you can build these private environments that are so enriched that people can not only make more profit, but also even have the AI advising them?
Yeah. So see, the way that, like, my mind works is, I think about, okay, what is the situation today, and how it is going to evolve in the next few months, years, whatever. So obviously I was excited when I found this new thing that can help generate content. And then I was thinking, okay, if I can do it, millions of other people should be able to do it as well. That means I have no competitive advantage. I mean, if, like, maybe I have competitive advantage today, but like very soon it's going to go away, right? So then I was saying, okay, what is it that other people are not doing, that I need to start focusing on? Meaning, if AI can generate content, uh, I'm sure the internet is going to be flooded with courses and content and all of that. So what can I do to differentiate what businesses need, and for myself? So then I started diving deep into it. First of all, like, again, my background in psychology, neuroscience, that sort of kicked in. So I was looking at all the content being produced, and it was kind of generic, vanilla. I mean, it was very suitable for an engineering environment, if we want to teach engineering concepts. But for anything else, like, a lot of people did not understand how the content was being produced. And so I started learning about how we can use AI for storytelling, and just getting the attention of the right people, those type of things. And then started learning about security, because my background is in cybersecurity as well. And then I was like, okay, if people start to upload their data into this, like, how is it trained, what is happening behind the scenes, all of that.
Mhm.
So just one step after the other, it was like, okay, there's going to be millions and millions and millions of people generating content. So that means there is no competitive advantage there. But there are not a lot of people understanding how to synthesize that content, how to privatize that intelligence, how to secure it, how to roll out this whole thing called this AI behemoth that has landed on our doorstep, to their teams in a controlled manner. Um, all of these problems I faced myself, and when I talk to other people, they face the same thing. So when I started thinking about these things, that became my sort of comparative advantage, that most people are not able to wrap their head around these problems. But these are very, very real problems, and these are much bigger problems than generating content. So that's how the transition happened.
Wow. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this guy's an engineer. And yet he knows so much about sales. And I think it's because, like you said, you have that neuroscience psychology background as well, which I think every good seller should have. And you're saying, I understand we can use this for storytelling. And you didn't say this, but inferring, and storytelling is what sells, and people need storytelling, right? And so everybody else is going to be all about the content. That's obvious, right? But who's going to be worrying about, you know, synthesizing the content so it's more useful, privatizing it so people, because people are worried. And I have some CEOs who absolutely are still forbidding employees to use any form of AI on their work computers because they are so afraid. And interestingly, right? And then thinking about, okay, so that's, privatize it. It's, you don't have to worry, secure it so people can't break into it, and again, taking that worry away. And I can control it. Now I have an environment where I can bring my employees in and train them,
Correct, correct.
but we can train the machine first. Like I always say, train the dragon first. Now, when they step into it, it's already trained. It's not going to use misinformation. It's not going to go on the web looking for something because we've told it everything it needs to know about our company. So now my marketing person can safely go in there and generate really beautiful content and know that it's coming with all good, solid source, right? And be able to humanize that, because we don't want to take the humans out of it. Like you said, it's like, yeah, the AI can only go so far, but the human has to make it, like, make sure it's going to really be right to put out into the world. So I think that is amazing. Just like do what others are not.
Mhm,
And you
mhm.
brought all of your skills together to actually really be able to do that, which is beautiful. So let's talk about today. So now that you have this tool, right? So it's an online tool, and I'm assuming you use a lot of AI in your own company. What does the structure of your sales team look like now to be able to get this out into the world?
So we have three business development kind of people in the field. They are talking to people. They're going to events and those type of things. When a new lead comes in, um, we basically it's there's one senior person, like a sales kind of closer, if you will. And myself as well. I do a lot of sales myself as well. So that's how it is structured right now. There's a lot of kind of uh, we are like, even though we everybody's talking about AI, as you said, like a lot of people have to be trained, almost like educated as a kindergarten person, to say, okay, this is why you should not be afraid of it. And the second question is, how do you make money out of it? And that, it takes some time to get them through that, because human beings don't like change, and they don't like to be the first. Like nobody wants to be the first and like point it out, like, look at this, kind of like, it's an ego thing as well. Like, they don't want to fail, and they don't want to look stupid in front of their peers. But there are some people like myself and others, like, who always jump in head first into something new without understanding all the implications. So it's a lot of learning about the market segments and the psychology of the market at this moment, plus not to mention all the things outside of our control that happen in the world, which create even much more complexity in finding people who say, okay, even though economic and political environment is not very certain, even though
That's
AI is something that I don't understand, I'm willing to do something about it. I'm willing to adopt it. So that's where we are. That's how the team is structured. That's what we are dealing with.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And it's a big marketplace, but you're right. Everybody needs education. And it's sort of an interesting thing because in my industry, and understanding the buyer and helping marketers and sellers to meet the buyer where they are, the buyers can get a lot of information all by themselves, but they might get misinformation and they come to you, with this misinformation, but they're convinced, that this is what they need or want. And so it does require really good education today, and especially around AI, where there are a lot of misconceptions. So it's really important. I also want to just quickly say that I love your model. You mentioned you have business development people out there. And I want everybody who's listening, all the CEOs, he didn't say BDRs or SDRs. They're not on the phone cold calling people. And, no, he's got sophisticated humans who understand and can talk to other humans out there meeting people and networking and understanding what they need and finding a fit so that they can talk to the actual salesperson who can help guide them towards buying the right solution. And I really feel like that is the way that sales should be going today, and I applaud you for recognizing that and doing that. I think that's absolutely awesome. My gosh, I have so many more questions about TetraNoodle, but I want to get you off to your next meeting on time. So I have 3 really quick questions, and then you and I will just have to talk again because I have so many questions for you. All right. My first question is, what's a book that you think every CEO should read? Something that really helped you. Doesn't necessarily have to be a business book.
No, this is actually it is a business plus life book, Principles of Work and Life by Ray Dalio. So Ray Dalio is one of the most successful hedge fund managers, a billionaire, and he built his company based on these principles. So he's sharing his principles on how he built the company, how he hires people, how he evaluates people. It's an absolutely eye-opening book, but it takes a lot of courage to actually like implement these things.
Yeah, absolutely. What's a podcast that you listen to because it makes you think differently?
Honestly, as I told you, I'm doing so many podcasts on my platform and going on other people's podcasts as well. One of the, so I don't even get time to listen to a lot of podcasts, but one that I find quite interesting is Joe Rogan's podcast. I find he's very like out there. Like he doesn't have any boundaries in terms of what topics he talks about. He doesn't follow any convention. He doesn't have any like filter, any censorship. So
No filter for sure, and hours and hours, right?
yeah, I mean, like nobody. I don't have the time to sit through like entire episode, but you can get like a glimpse of snippets here and there. Interestingly enough, I forgot to mention, we got endorsed from Mensa Foundation just recently about the way that we implement AI, and I'm going to the Mensa Foundation in July. One of the people who actually is accompanying, like coming to the stage alongside us, is a guy. His name is Leo. He used to work in the Department of Defense. Uh, monitoring UFOs. So, so he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and
Yes.
yeah, so I was listening to his episode in total, like 2 hour episode.
Oh, yeah. I listened to most of that one too, because that was really interesting, right? Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, but congratulations, Mensa. That's a big deal. You
Mhm.
are really, truly doing great things. Last question. What does every CEO need to know to win in this market?
Every CEO needs to know data is the new currency. Okay, so uh, in ancient times, salt used to be the currency, then oil became a currency, then so every part of history you look at, certain things become more valuable. Today data is the most valuable currency. Think about it this way: Facebook is probably worth $1 trillion, Google is worth about $3 trillion. They don't sell a product.
Right.
All they do is collect data. So try to, once you understand this fundamental thing, then things will fall into place. So think data is your new currency and AI is the engine to generate that currency.
Yes, and that is a big idea for people, but 100%. I interviewed Shireen Reza recently, who's the CEO. I can't think of the name of her company right now, but she was designing uh, very dense nutrient chocolate with Michael Riccuti for astronauts, and she pivoted because the data she was collecting on high performance individuals, she completely pivoted to build a platform with that data to help people with high performance. So she got it right. She's like, a CEO who went, oh, the magic's in the data. What do I do with the data? So I just love that. Gosh, Manuj, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been such a pleasure. You brought a lot of energy, which I just love. And I think everybody learned a little bit more about AI. And I am certainly interested in diving in with you a little bit more at another time.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe.